The peace of a quiet Sunday morning in Frostburg, Maryland was shattered by an unexpected commotion. 3 individuals were apprehended by local law enforcement, causing quite a stir in the small community. Jack Lesota, the enigmatic figurehead of a group known as the Zizians, was taken into custody. His arrest was a significant event, given his mysterious background. He was accompanied by Michelle Zyko and Daniel Blank, both key members of the group. Their arrest marked a turning point in a string of disturbing events that had been unfolding across multiple states, leaving communities on edge. The Zizians, until now, had remained largely hidden from public view, operating in the shadows. They were a fringe group with unusual and unsettling beliefs, often meeting in secret locations. Details about their activities were scarce, adding to the air of mystery surrounding them. However, the arrest of their leader and his associates brought the Zizians into the harsh glare of the national spotlight, drawing widespread media attention. The charges against the trio were seemingly minor: trespassing, obstructing and hindering, and possession of a handgun in a vehicle. But the authorities sensed something more sinister at play, suspecting deeper, more nefarious activities. Lesota was deemed a flight risk and a danger to the public, leading the judge to take no chances. He was ordered held without bail, a decision that underscored the gravity of the situation. The arrest of Lesota, Zyko and Blank signaled a major break for investigators, who had been tirelessly working on the case. It offered a glimmer of hope in a case shrouded in mystery and tragedy, potentially leading to more answers and justice for those affected. The charges against Lesota, Zyko and Blank, while seemingly minor at first glance, hinted at a darker undercurrent. These charges were not just isolated incidents, but part of a larger, more sinister narrative that was beginning to unfold. Trespassing suggested a possible intrusion into private property, perhaps related to the group's activities. It raised questions about what they were looking for and why they were willing to break the law to find it. Obstructing and hindering indicated a potential attempt to impede law enforcement or conceal evidence. This behavior suggested that they had something significant to hide, something that could potentially expose their true intentions. The possession of a handgun in a vehicle was particularly concerning. It wasn't just about the weapon itself, but what it represented in the context of their other activities. It suggested a potential for violence and raised questions about the group's intentions. Were they planning something more dangerous, or was it merely a precautionary measure? Was the weapon simply for protection, or did it signify something more ominous? The ambiguity surrounding their motives only deepened the mystery. Lesota's detainment without bail underlined the severity of the situation. It was a clear indication that the authorities were taking no chances. Authorities clearly believed he posed a significant risk. This decision was not made lightly and reflected the gravity of the charges. This decision hinted at the potential strength of the evidence against him, or the perceived danger of the Zizian group. The courtroom atmosphere was tense, filled with anticipation and uncertainty. However, the true extent of Lesota, Zyko and Blank's involvement in the crimes that had shaken the nation remained shrouded in mystery. The public was eager for answers, but the investigation was complex and far-reaching. The investigation was far from over. Each new piece of evidence brought more questions than answers, and the authorities were determined to get to the bottom of it. The arrest was just the first step in a long and complex process of unraveling the truth behind the Zizians. The journey ahead was fraught with challenges, but the resolve to uncover the truth was unwavering. The Zizians' arrest sent shockwaves through law enforcement agencies across multiple states. The magnitude of their crimes and the sheer brutality involved left communities in fear and authorities scrambling for answers. The group was linked to 6 brutal killings, each more perplexing than the last. These weren't just random acts of violence, they were calculated, cold-blooded murders that left investigators baffled and desperate for leads. The timeline of these tragedies painted a chilling picture. Each murder seemed to be part of a larger, more sinister plan, with connections that were not immediately apparent but deeply disturbing once uncovered. The first incident occurred in November 2022, when a California landlord was attacked and a woman lost her life. This brutal act set off a chain of events that would span years and states. Then, on December 31, 2022, Richard and Rita Zyko, Michelle Zyko's parents, were found dead in their Chester Heights, Pennsylvania home. The double homicide shocked the quiet community and raised more questions than answers. Months later, on January 17, 2025, Curtis Lind, a Vallejo, California landlord who had survived a previous attack by suspected Zizian members, was brutally murdered. His death was a grim reminder of the group's reach and ruthlessness. Lind was scheduled to testify against the group, making his death even more suspicious. His murder silenced a key witness and sent a clear message to anyone else considering coming forward. Finally, on an unremarkable January day in 2025, U.S. Border Patrol agent David Marland and a passenger, Felix Bockholt, were killed in a highway shootout in Coventry, Vermont. This brazen attack highlighted the group's willingness to confront law enforcement directly. The driver, Teresa Youngblood, was apprehended. Her arrest was a significant breakthrough, but it also raised new questions about the group's operations and motives. These killings, scattered across time and geography, seemed unconnected. Yet, the meticulous investigation revealed a web of violence and conspiracy that spanned years and crossed state lines. But the thread of the Zizians ran through them all. This shadowy group, with its cryptic motives and ruthless methods, left a trail of devastation that authorities are still trying to fully understand.